If you've been cited, arrested, charged, or convicted of a crime, what documents do you need to bring into your naturalization interview? I'm Erick Widman. I'm an immigration lawyer. And on the N-400 form, which you have to fill out in order to naturalize, there are several questions that deal with criminal history. And some of them are fairly tricky because one of them in particular, question 23 currently, says, have you ever been cited, arrested, or charged? But the tricky part is citations are also included amongst these other categories that are more serious. So citations include parking ticket, it includes a traffic incident. So you should be checking the box there. In fact, most people should be checking the box. Most people do have some kind of citation. If you have no citations, you don't have to check the box, but more people should be checking the box than they realize because they have citations. In that case, you have to go on and explain right there in the N-400 what the citation was all about. And of course, for actual arrests or detentions, charges, or convictions, you have to lay that all out in great detail. What you also then need to bring into the actual naturalization interview depends upon what you were charged with, what happened in your case, how it was resolved. So you have to disclose all this up front on the N-400, but then USCIS really wants to have you bring in the required documents at the interview for inspection. And USCIS, the interviewing officer, is always quite a stickler for this. And so it's a common issue where you can get a continuance, request for evidence for not having the correct documents brought in to the interview. So let's look at the specific categories for the type of crime or arrest or charge and what you need to bring in. So at the low end of the severity scale are these citations. So if you were cited for a parking ticket or a traffic incident, yes, you do need to disclose that, as we were just describing, but you don't have to bring in proof that it was resolved unless a few criteria are met. So you don't need to bring in documentation that your parking ticket or traffic ticket were fully resolved unless an actual arrest happened or drugs and alcohol were involved, or the fine was under $500 or is basically just points on your record rather than other serious implications. If as a result, however, of the traffic incident, the fine was above $500 or drugs and alcohol were involved or you were arrested, then even though you might have ended up just with a citation, technically, you have to bring in proof that it was resolved. And the certified copy of that, which we'll describe soon, is typically what USCIS wants to see. They like certified documents. Here are the other more serious categories that describe what you need to bring in to your USCIS interview. So the first major category is if you were arrested or detained anywhere in the world. USCIS makes that clear in the instructions that if an arrest happened anywhere in the world, they want to know about it. But if you were not charged for an arrest as part of that arrest or detention, you still need to bring in a certified arrest report and a statement, they say, from the arresting agency or court confirming that no charges were filed. So that's in the instance where you were arrested or detained, but no charges were filed. You've got to bring in documentation confirming, certified copy of this document saying that you were not in fact charged. Next category, were you arrested or detained anywhere in the world and charges were filed? So you are required to bring in certified copies of the arrest report, charging documents, and the court disposition. You also have to bring in proof that you completed probation if that applies to you. And you have the additional option, USCIS is trying to be nice in this instance, you have the ability to bring in evidence showing factors that are favorable for you. And so positive factors regarding the circumstances of that arrest and then the charges that were filed. The next category of what you need to bring in to USCIS for your naturalization interview involves the situation where you were convicted of a crime or you were put in an alternative sentencing program. So in either situation, actual conviction or you were put into one of these programs like diversion, you have to bring in the following documents. So a certified sentencing record for each criminal incident and certified copies of the documents showing you've completed your sentence or program. So if it was a drug rehabilitation program or other probation or community service, you're required to bring into your USCIS officer at your naturalization interview proof that was all completed, fully resolved. Finally, and one of the trickiest parts of proving that everything was resolved successfully is if you had your record expunged. You were convicted, you did an alternative program, and it was all expunged from your record, which is typically a good idea to do for employment and otherwise. But it can create issues, make it kind of difficult to naturalize. Because what USCIS will require that you do is bring in a certified order expunging your record, or, and this happens all the time, the county clerk or even the court will say, well, we don't have a copy of your record anymore at all. And even the order is unavailable. So USCIS requires that you then provide a certified statement from the court that you no longer have a record. That is an overview of the documents that you need to bring in if you have a criminal record or if you have a citation, what you need to bring into your naturalization interview in order to get through a fairly stringent process with your USCIS officer. Let us know if you have any questions, and take care.